Hey, Lucas Roth. Hey, we're going to get a little deep dive situation into a case study, which is a piece of property that my wife and I bought and we're entitling a 12-unit apartment building on. I'm just going to walk you through it because I think it's kind of interesting and it might just be helpful to you. So the first thing that you want to do when you're trying to develop something is you have to find some land, okay? You can do this in any way you can imagine. There's no rules about it. In this particular instance, this transaction came about from me contacting old listings, okay? So people had tried to sell their property in the past, in years past, and then hadn't sold, it canceled or expired. And so I contacted a bunch of people and I found somebody who was interested in still selling their property, and it was a property that looked intriguing to me, okay? So here was the property. It was a property that was in South Park, which is a neighborhood I know very well and used to live in. It was a very small lot, 27 feet by 117 feet, okay? It was a corner lot, so there was a street here and there was a street here. And that is what made it interesting to me. If it had been mid-block, it would have been so constrained I wouldn't have been interested. So anyways, they had tried to sell it, had put it on the market, had not sold, and the reason why was that other people had come to the same conclusion that I came to, and that was that each unit that was built on this lot was going to need a parking spot, okay? And by the way, the zoning was LR3, okay? 3,150 square foot lot, all right? Tiny, tiny lot. So if you have to have a parking spot for each unit, essentially you can just build 2 units, like 1, 2, because then you have to have a spot here and a spot there for parking. So buying this property just to build 2 wasn't a very efficient build. Nobody wanted to pay for it, and neither did I. So I walked. Then what happened was the laws changed about parking. And parking, all of a sudden, this lot had enough transit nearby that it wasn't going to have any required parking to develop it. And so at that point, suddenly instead of having 2 units, it was possible to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 row houses, okay? So row houses only require a 3.5 foot setback on either side. So if you take off 3.5 feet from this side, 3.5 feet from that, you still have 20 foot building depth, right? And then the width on the back ends up being close to 19 feet, 18 feet, something like that. So it's a tight spot, but it's doable, okay? So because once you find somebody that wants to sell, then you kind of like mock this stuff up and you're like, okay, is it going to work? And that first time around, it wasn't going to work. 2 houses, no thanks. Moved on, did something else. Then I came back like it was like a year and a half later, because then I was like, oh yeah, the parking changed. That one property might work now. So I kind of do this up and I'm like, yeah, that does kind of work. So approach them, write them an offer. They agree on $180,000 purchase price for that land. All right. So that I kind of jumped a step, but you find the land, somebody that wants to sell land that looks kind of good. Then you got to figure out the concept, okay? And if the concept works, then you write up that contract and you put it under contract and you agree on a price, and then you start your feasibility, okay? So this whole thing, just like, okay, the units would fit like this, that should work. That's more conceptual, and that's more like the first pass, okay? So once that meets that first pass, at least me, I'm not going to really put a property under contract unless it at least meets that first pass. Then I put it under contract. Then I do the feasibility. So this is more the nuts and bolts. So you're going to, basically you want to contact, unless you're really experienced, you just want to contact an architect or a land use planner, but you gotta put yourself on their radar, okay? Because they're busy. There's a lots of ins and outs. It's a skilled work. But essentially, have an architect run this process for you, unless you're really confident. Ultimately, on this lot, we had to figure out utilities, and that was a really big one. And then, we knew there was going to have to be some soil studies, some survey. We didn't do all that stuff, but we just kind of put that on our radar of what things were going to have to be accomplished. But the main thing that ended up coming into play and being very important was the utilities, okay? And here's what happened. We found okay, there is a water main in this street, so you can have your utilities come here from that street, but there was no water here. on this side. Okay. So my initial concept was, okay, I'm going to build 6 row houses. I'm going to short plat them, and then I'm going to sell them off. Okay. To 6 different buyers. Well, when there's no water here, and we applied for our water availability certificate, the WAC, they said, okay, there's no water here. You can't do that. They said, you can do that. They said, you just have to extend the water main all the way down 200 something feet to the alley. And that was going to cost a couple $100,000 basically, is what we figured. So that made that a no-go. So during feasibility, we hit this kind of wall, this like bad info, bad news, I should say. And so we said, okay, we had to rethink it. And so what we did is we decided, okay, fine. If we can't short plat it, I still like the lot. I still like the price. I still kind of was excited to do the thing. So instead of building them and then short platting and selling them all off, I was like, I'm kind of a long-term investor anyways. I like the idea of creating assets that are going to create a cash flow stream, forever. So I'll just build it as a rental. So you can build the same thing. You can build, the land use code allows you to build those things. It just doesn't allow you to short plat them with no water on this side. Okay. So that's cool. 6 units, 6 rental units. It was cool, but it wasn't like an obvious deal that I was really excited about. So then it's like, okay, how can I take it to the next level of value where I'm definitely maximizing the amount of rental income coming to me? Because renting 3-level row houses, single family houses, that's not like that dense. It's not that efficient. It's not that lucrative, basically, right? So here's what we decided. With my architect, we came up with this. So we're looking from the street, looking directly on, like this is you and me, and this is the sidewalk. Each row house is 3 levels, okay? So here's what we decided. Okay, fine. Every row house is going to have 2 doors. This door is going to go straight into this unit, okay? And this is going to be its own self-contained, really, really tiny unit, like an ADU, a mother-in-law apartment. And then this door is going to go up steps to this level. And then this level is going to have steps up to this level. This is going to be kitchen, living, dining room. And this is going to be bedroom, bathroom. And so this is going to be one unit. And this is going to be a separate unit. This is going to be an ADU. Ooh, ADU. And this one is the main unit. Okay. So by doing that, what we've done is we've doubled the number of units we get, right? And we have much smaller units. And so our rent per square foot is going to be a lot better, right? And so that's what made the project like, okay, comfortable. Like, okay, this, it's a really small project, but at least it's efficient. We're going to get 12 units on 3,150 square feet. That, and at a price of 180,000, 12 units, that's like $15,000 for the dirt per unit. So anyways, if you didn't follow me, we're still going to build the 6 row houses, but instead of building 6 3-level single family row houses, we're going to build each one as a kind of like a duplex, right? One unit on the ground level and then 1 unit taking the upper 2 levels. So after doing the, pro forma of all that, then it's like, okay, this is good. This is what we want. Let's move forward. At that point, you don't have to close it. I mean, ideally you push that closing out so you're not like sinking the money and having it sit in the project forever. But we closed it. Then we just started entitlement right away. And just to briefly touch on that entitlement, it's like you tell the city, hey, I want to do something. And then they say, okay, you show them what you want to do. They say, okay, give us your permit submittal package in 4 or 5 months. So you get it together, you wait, you submit it. Then they say, okay, a few months after that, then they say, okay, here, make these corrections. And you do that as fast as you can. Then you wait another long time. Then they give you another round of corrections, send it back. Then they give you a 3rd round of corrections, send it back. And then hopefully then they approve it at that point. So it's a process of like, 1.5 years or whatever. And then once you actually have the permits in hand, then you can build. Okay. So this is where we're at right now. It's December 2020, just about Christmas time. This is where we're at. So in a few months, like spring, probably late spring, I'm guessing. We're going to actually have the permits in hand and we'll be building it. So I'll give you like a little update video, maybe show you the land itself and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for watching the video. Hope it was a little bit helpful for you, and appreciate your time.